Coming up on Speedweek, the season fires off at Daytona.
Drags blaze into 86.
And this Infernal is super in mods.
This and more next on Speedweek.
Speedweek is brought to you by B.F. Goodrich TA Radios, built for you to take on the road. And by Busch Beer, the beer with a taste as smooth as its name.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Speedweek. I'm Bob Jenkins.
And I'm Larry Newber. Several major divisions opened their 1986 campaigns last weekend, and we'll have reports on all those races in the next half hour. Let's begin in Daytona.
The IMSA 24 Hours presented one of the most comprehensive fields in U.S. racing history. Ron Kendrick reports on IMSA's headliners, the exotic GTP cars.
As the field began to roll down pit road for the start of the Sunbank 24-hour race, the pole-sitting Corvette of Sarl van der Merwe, Doc Bundy, and Wally Dallenbach Jr. was noticeably absent from the front row. In a morning warm-up session, a vibration was detected in the car that only got worse with each practice lap. That forced car owner Rick Hendrick to make a difficult yet prudent decision to withdraw the car from the event.
The car is too expensive and the lives are too valuable to get out there with that kind of vibration and take a chance, especially a car on the front row that could take out 10, 11 other cars. So we made the decision, and it's the toughest one I've ever made in motorsports.
That set up an expected Porsche battle for the lead. Early on, the Rob Dyson, Drake Olson, Price Cobb 962 was at the front, but the team watched the lead disappear after a lengthy pit stop for brake repairs following a spin. Into the night hours, the 962 of Jim Busby, Darren Brassfield, Derek Warwick, and Jochen Maas, who'd moved over from the team car, held the lead. They were being chased by 3 other 962s and one of the Jaguars that was running in the top 5. The lead changed hands in the second half of the event, but late in the race, mechanical problems spelled heartbreak for the A.J. Foyt team. Last year's winners had an 8-lap lead, but a stuck throttle forced a long pit stop that enabled Al Holbert, Derek Bell, and Al Unser Jr. to catch, then pass Foyt to take the checkered flag.
We earned it. Everybody in the team. We made a few setup mistakes and a few preparation mistakes, but what I was proud of, my guys got seasoned today. We made the repairs without making any mistakes, and that really is what a 24-hour race is all about.
Speedweeks will continue, and the next racing action will be the Busch Clash and the ARCA 200. For ESPN Speedweek, I'm Ron Kendrick reporting from the Daytona International Speedway.
Veteran drivers like Derek Bell called this the toughest 24 hours in the world, even over Les Mots. 2 heavy crashes, no injuries. Talented Hans Stuck in Bob Aiken's Coke machine, and Jan Lammers destroyed one of the B.F. Goodrich cars. Jim Busby shared his other BFG Porsche with Formula One's Derek Warwick and Darren Brassfield. They led 339 laps. Then a loosened seat cost them lap speed and perhaps the race in the last 2 hours. There were, of course, 4 divisions, the scaled-down GTPs, Camel Lights, won by a Florida Mazda Argo team of Frank Rubino, Ray Mummery, and John Schneider. GTO, American production sports cars, became an 11th-hour face-off between Mustangs. Lee Mueller, Maurice Hasse, and former promoter Lanny Hester leading here, then winning over the Melting Pot team of Olympian Bruce Jenner, go-karter Scott Pruitt, and world star Klaus Ludwig. The highly touted GTO team of NASCAR regulars had a comet-like, if not successful, debut. Elliott, Rudd, Kyle Petty, and Schrader led their class early but didn't finish. It's not enough that the Mazda RX-7 team highball wins the sprint races. Normal team members Amos Johnson, Jack Dunham, and Dennis Shaw prevail again as the GTU victor here.
The Winter Nationals in Pomona, California began NHRA's 1986 drag racing campaign. This may look like an Indy car with enclosed engine and side pods, but it's Gary Hornsby's new Streamliner Top Fueler. His is the first of what could be 3 in the league before year's end. It didn't last long, though, at Pomona. In a burn-off during qualifying, boom, the engine explodes, and his weekend is over. Shirley Muldowney was in her first national event since injuries in 1984. In the first round, she's paired with Don Garlitz. Shirley is off the line first, but she, too, has trouble and loses the match. Garlitz would later lose, too. Another near disaster involved Ed McCullough's funny car. In a run with Dale Puldee, Ed's Olds is blown apart by an engine explosion. In the Pro Stock Finals, Warren Johnson came close, but Frank Iaconio took top honors this day. The Funny Car Final saw Tim Gross in a Pontiac beat John Force for Gross's first NHRA win. Top Fuel Final saw the youngster 24-year-old Darrell Gwynn beat the old veteran Connie Kalita.
By the way, the R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company will pay a $25,000 bonus to the nation's combined top pro funny car driver this year.
Coming up, Nish, too hot to handle,
while Colin steams the Copper's kettle.
Twisting roads, punishing trails, the open road. Each road demands a different tire to take it on. And with BF Goodrich TA radials, you've got all the different tires you need to take on those roads. The most complete line of high-performance radials in the world. The BF Goodrich TA line, built for you to take on the road.
They say the best ones are the hard ones. These you don't break. You try to reach an agreement. And when you do, you head for the mountains. Push. Head for the beer brewed natural as a mountain stream. For a taste as smooth as its name. Push. Head for Bush Beer. Head for the mountain.
Dodge Daytona Turbo Z. It'll be an
expressway to your heart.
Monday, the St. John's Redmen and Georgetown Hoyas tip off a live basketball doubleheader. The Redmen ran past Georgetown last month in the Garden, so the Hoyas are out to even the score. It's the biggest rivalry in one of the country's most competitive conferences. Big East basketball at its best. Monday on ESPN.
One of the most prestigious annual short track pavement events takes place each February on the mile of Phoenix International Raceway. The so-called sprint cars, actually unwinged front-engine open-wheelers, one of 4 types competing. Rich Vogler and Howard Stone's former USAC pavement sprinter graced the pole. Kenny Hamilton and his Pink Lady chased early. Salt Lake City produced almost 1/3 of the starting field. Dave Adamson crashed on lap 1. Dick Adamson qualified 4th and dueled early with Gary Bentonhausen. And A.J. Foyt protege Mike Nish executed the most thrilling ride of the day down the front stretch after tangling with the turban of local Steve Boland. Gary B. made it all the way to 2nd, but this was a race of attrition. Vogler smoked out, later to return with lost laps. Hamilton breaks, and a late backstretch incident triggered by T.J. Nish's blown engine sidelines Jack Backman Jr. and the Midwest Bob Fry. Mike Bliss from Milwaukee, Oregon, who is used to running his sprinter against supermods, held smooth his aerodynamic upright and won.
As was the case in Daytona, the pole sitter for the super-modified portion of the Copper was unable to start. George Snyder broke the track record at 148.3 miles an hour, good enough to make the middle of the IndyCar field in 1984. But the engine blew on the car, and he couldn't start the race. 19 cars did take the green, with Billy Vukovich III the early leader. His first win came here at PIR last fall. But Indy and now NASCAR driver Chet Phillip took command in the middle stages. Al Bioni had an overheating problem that turned into a fire down the backstretch. The story of this race was tires. Wally Pankratz came in with a blistered right front during the yellow. Chet Phillip retired with overheating problems. Gary Bentonhausen, the only driver to start all 4 races here, was in, but later returned to finish 4th. With Phillip gone, Billy III was in the lead again, and Dad was nervously watching from the pits. This late yellow looked serious, but Mark Krause wasn't injured. Paul Durant had the horsepower to pass Billy, and Durant held the lead the rest of the way. Pankratz got around Buki late and finished 2nd.
Johnny Parsons Jr. on the midget pole, and that just about sums it up. Many of his top competitors dropped out, but it might not have made a difference. Vogler and Bettenhausen recorded 0 laps. San Jose's Randy Rothweiler recorded 0 turns. Chuck Gurney only made 4 circuits. Eastern Stars Bob Ciccone, Nick Fenoro Jr., and Colorado's Randy Roberts a good go at it for second, with Roberts winning out. While Parsons embarrassed everybody, the racing was excellent throughout the field. 2, 3, 4 abreast action in this strong field that included Jeff Palms, Robbie Flock, Tommy Estone, Stan Fox, Jimmy Sills, Tommy White, and Ken Nichols.
The stock car race was the longest of the 4, 40 laps, but saw a lot of good racing. The red car that sat on the pole and led early was driven by Californian Jim Thurkettle. That's Gary Bettenhausen in car 7 in turn 2, bringing out the first yellow. He'll return, though, and finish the race. The man on the move here is Gary Collins, winner of the stock portion last fall. Randy Becker oiled the front stretch in first turn pretty good enough, in fact, for a red flag. On the restart, it's still Thurkettle, but a 2-car crash took out Roman Kalsinski. Jim Vernon in 37 continued. Gary Ballou, with a new hood because of a crash the day before, pitted and lost a lap. Butch Miller, who had been chasing Thurkettle all day, finally took the lead in turn 2. Thurkettle pitted and would later drop out. On the restart from another yellow, Collins passes Miller after a rear-end nudge and wins again. Butch spins in turn 4, but battles back to finish second.
A couple of notes on drivers that were in the Copper. Butch Miller will run at least 5 Winston Cup races this year, and Chet Phillip has moved from Texas to North Carolina in preparation for a NASCAR season.
And Rich Vogler will be Johnny Rutherford's teammate at Indy this year.
In our next segment, down but not out in Texas.
And bogged down but rarin' in California.
A very bad thing is happening in this house. And maybe in your house, too. Energy is oozing out of every crack and taking your good money with it. Put a stop to it. A house that saves energy is worth more. So save energy and keep your money where your house is. A message from these organizations and the Alliance to Save Energy. For more information, write the Alliance.
I'm Catherine Kinley. As anchorwoman for Radio 1990 on the USA Network, I show video clips of music's hottest performers, talk about the entertainment scene, and tell you what's hot and what's not. Well, what's hot today is stealing cable television, theft of service. It's so hot that people are being arrested and can spend time in prison and pay a hefty fine. Enjoying cable television is definitely in, but stealing it is out. Fight cable theft of service.
Turning, handling, all the tire you can get. Now, you've got it. The new Comp TA from B.F. Goodrich, the tire that won the U.S. Endurance Cup, has actually been improved in the dry, in the wet. It's more tire than you'll ever need. But on roads like this, it's good to know you have it. The new B.F. Goodrich Comp TA, built for you to take on the road.
Some travel arrangements made through Eastern Airlines, the leader in service to all the Americas, serving over 140 cities in 23 countries and one magic kingdom. At Eastern, we earn our wings every day.
San Jose's Steve Eklund ought to buy stock in Houston's Astrodome. Come to think of it, maybe he already owns some. The AMA season began last weekend under the world's first 7th domed wonder of the world, and Eklund scored his 5th career victory here. You got that? From his very top starting position, that's the glistening gold spokes of Ted Booty darting down to the lead. The big guns of defending champ Bubba Schobert, Ricky Graham, and Doug Chandler didn't make the final. California's Aaron Hill, number 23, and Texas's Sammy Sweet played 60. 2 new names running at the front are introducing themselves to Booty. Neither will finish. Sweet looks like a winner, but eventually, Rotax mounted Eklund is passing Hill for the lead. Hill is perseverant, but the 79 champ Eklund is going to win on the 4th different brand he's raced under the dome. It's Steve's 3rd win in the last 5 years in Houston. He has won both short track and TT steeplechase, but this year's win on the very short oval. Sunday's weekend capper, Supercross. Danny Storbeck surprised his 250cc foes with this hole shot, though from the start it was obvious Rick Johnson, number 5, was going to be a factor. Johnson's Honda sails to the lead with champ and very competent Jeff Ward in hot pursuit. David Bailey starts 5th, and though he runs competitive, never really mentions the lead, he does get 2nd. The story continues up front. Johnson cruises on, but Ward remains in sight. Then on the very last lap, Rick jumps into a hill, and over she goes. Ward passes by and wins the race almost casually. Bailey went past, and Johnson, who showed just this brief glimmer of disappointment, had dusted himself off and trudged to 3rd.
Many riders chose the Astrodome over round 5 of the Golden State Motocross Nationals. Last weekend, that series visited Marysville, California. With 250cc series points leader Jeff Ward absent from the lineup, the field was wide open. This second moto saw John Nelson on Suzuki number 3 pace the field for a while, but then Brian Manley on a Honda took command and swept both motos despite a less than ideal track caused by heavy rain.
It got some deep grooves in some places and there's water going through some places, but it wasn't extremely bad because the water kind of runs off the surface pretty good. And I just figured everybody had to ride the same course, so it was pretty good.
Nelson, with a 5th and 2nd, finished 2nd overall. Sweden's Andy Eason had a 4th and a 3rd, good enough for 3rd overall. No race this coming weekend. Then the series heads for Hollister Hills for the 6th of 8 races. In the mountains of Southern California, about 150 miles east of L.A., lies the normally sleepy town of Adelanto. Last weekend, for the 3rd straight year, the town and a motorcycle club called the Desert Vipers staged the Grand Prix de Adelanto. 250cc motorcycles participate in the race. They start Le Mans style, run to your bike and take off. Also racing Odysseys, quads, three-wheelers, and even sidecars. The course consists of a water hazard, 3 miles of asphalt, a motocross section, and the rest desert. We've seen crashes before, but how about this nearly perfectly executed somersault into the mud? No, this is not something you want to do with your Sunday go-to-meeting clothes. Even spectators don't leave this race without being covered from foot to head. Now, how about reaction to all this from another fan?
Huh? What do you think of this race? Muddy. It's a good one, though. It's a good one.
By the way, Paul Krause won the 250 expert class. The unlimited cycle winner was Wayne Bodine. But it seems to me that just participating in this makes you a winner.
When we return, off-road in California and Arizona.
And the state of IHRA drag racing. Stay with us.
In 1985, this is where Dodge Daytona won more races than anybody else. This is where Dodge Omni GLH cleaned up, and where Dodge Shelby Charger has done the same. And here, Dodge finished 1, 2, 3 in class. Winning is impressive, but what's more impressive is winning with cars that are essentially the same as the ones you'll find in Dodge showrooms. At Dodge, we're selling performance, and we've got the track record to prove it.
When you take on the roads of Europe, you're taking on the world's toughest. And when you put on the Euro TA tire from BF Goodrich, you're putting on the tire built to take on those roads. Steering response, lightning quick. Speed rating, H. But you don't have to be over there to know how that tire handles right here in America. The BF Goodrich Euro TA, built for you to take on the road.
Tuesday, Spirit of America and America 2 are preparing to bring back the Cup from the waters of British Columbia to Australia. It's a shakedown cruise for 2 very different syndicates with the same 12-meter mission. Reclaim the America's Cup. Don't miss this total sports exclusive Tuesday. Sunday, the Dallas Sidekicks and Kansas City Comets bring the excitement of major indoor soccer league action to ESPN. See it live Sunday.
If you're putting in long hours in your quest for the American dream, subscribe to the Wall Street Journal. Working late won't be any more fun, but it might be more rewarding.
Call 800-372-3000 for this special introductory offer. 13 weeks for just $29.50 with a money-back guarantee. 13 weeks, $29.50. Phone 800-372-3000 now for the Wall Street Journal.
Unlike other off-road races, the Parker 400 is really two events in one. After 110 miles on the California side, the competitors cross the Colorado River for 2 laps around a 95-mile course in Arizona. Mike Botula has more on the Parker 400.
The action starts before dawn as the motorcycles line up to start the Parker 400.
It's about the roughest I've seen it here at Parker in the last 4 or 5 years. It's pretty rough. It'll be good for us on the motorcycles.
Smith and his partner Dan Ashcraft eventually win the motorcycle competition. The green flag waves at first light. The desert quiet is shattered by the roar of engines and the cheers of thousands of fans. Another sign of the growth of off-road racing, more than 400 entries in 28 different categories. The bikes, the 3- and 4-wheel all-terrain